My name is Arthur Bennett. I'm 82 years old. There's a drawer in my bedroom that doesn't slide open easily anymore. The wood has swollen over the years, or maybe the house has shifted. I don't force it. I pull gently, slow, until it gives just enough. Inside that drawer, under a stack of folded handkerchiefs and an old wristwatch that stopped working sometime in the late 90s, there's an envelope. It's still sealed. I've kept it for 37 years. I never opened it. The paper has yellowed around the edges. The glue along the flap has hardened. My name is written across the front in a handwriting I would recognize anywhere. Margaret's. I haven't said her name out loud in a long time. I was 45 when the letter arrived, old enough to believe I understood myself, young enough to still think time was generous. We had already stopped speaking by then. Not in a dramatic way. There was no shouting in the street, no slammed doors, just a quiet thinning. Conversations that used to stretch past midnight, shortened to polite exchanges. Dinners eaten across from each other, with the television filling the space between us. Margaret used to say I disappeared even when I was sitting right there. I didn't understand what she meant. I worked at the post office for 32 years. Same route, same neighborhoods. I delivered letters to other people's lives every day. Birth announcements, bills, invitations, apologies sealed in careful handwriting. I never thought much about the weight of an envelope until one arrived for me. I remember the afternoon clearly, late autumn. The trees outside the house were shedding their leaves one by one, like they were tired of holding on. The envelope was mixed in with advertisements and a water bill. I almost didn't notice it, but the handwriting stopped me. I stood at the kitchen counter for a long time, just looking at it. No return address, just my name. Arthur. Not Mr. Bennett, just Arthur. We hadn't spoken in 6 months. She had left in early spring, packed slowly, no rush, like she was giving me time to say something that might change her mind. I didn't. When she closed the front door that day, she paused. I remember the way her hand rested on the knob. She said, "If you ever want to know what I needed, you'll have to ask." I nodded. I never asked. So when the letter came, I knew what it was, or I thought I did. An explanation, a confession, maybe forgiveness, maybe none of those things. My heart was beating harder than it should have for a man standing alone in his own kitchen. I slid my thumb under the edge of the flap and stopped. I told myself I wasn't ready. Ready for what I couldn't have explained. Maybe I was afraid it would say she was happier without me. Maybe I was afraid it would say she had tried harder than I ever did. Maybe I was afraid it would ask something of me that I could no longer give. So I placed it in the drawer, just for the night, I told myself. I went to bed thinking I would open it in the morning. Morning came, I made coffee, I stared at the drawer. I left it closed. Days passed, then weeks. After a while, not opening it became easier than opening it. It turned into a small private ritual. Sometimes I would take it out, weigh it in my hand, trace the ink of my name with my thumb. Then I would put it back, as if keeping it sealed meant something wasn't fully over. A sealed envelope holds possibility, and opened one holds certainty,
uncertainty felt heavier.
A year after she left, I heard from a mutual friend that Margaret had moved to another city, smaller place, near the water. I imagined her walking along a shoreline I'd never seen. I wondered if she had written that letter in anger, or sadness, or calm clarity. The longer I left it unopened, the more it grew inside my mind. It became longer than it probably was, deeper, sharper. I started assigning words to it. Sometimes I imagined it saying, "I needed you to fight for us." Other times, "I forgave you long before I left." And on darker nights, I imagined it saying nothing kind at all. The truth is, I don't know which would have hurt more. Years stacked themselves quietly after that. Work, retirement, a house that grew quieter in ways I pretended not to notice. I dated once, briefly, a woman named Elaine. She liked to talk about everything, her childhood, her disappointments, her favorite books. One evening she asked me, gently, "What happened with your marriage?" I said, "It just didn't work." She waited. I didn't continue. That relationship didn't last long. The letter remained in the drawer. When my mother passed away, I went through her things, old recipes, photographs, a box of birthday cards she had kept from decades ago. She had opened every single one, even the ones that looked like they might hold bad news. I remember standing in her living room, holding a stack of thin envelopes and thinking about the one in my drawer at home, still sealed. I turned 60, then 70. On my 70th birthday, I took the letter out and placed it on the dining table. I sat across from it like it was a person waiting to speak. My hands shook a little. I thought, if not now, when? But there was something stubborn in me, something that had calcified over time. Opening it would mean admitting I had been avoiding it all along. It would mean facing whatever version of myself Margaret had seen clearly enough to leave. So I slid it back into the drawer. I told myself that after so many years, it didn't matter anymore. But that wasn't true. It mattered because I didn't know, and not knowing became its own companion. Last winter, I slipped on the front steps. Nothing dramatic, just ice and carelessness. I lay there for a minute before I could get up. The sky above me was flat and gray. For the first time, I thought, if I don't get up from here, someone else will find that drawer. Someone else will open it, and they'll read words meant for me. That thought unsettled me more than the fall. Since then, I've taken the letter out more often. The envelope is thinner than I remember. Time has pressed it flatter. I hold it up to the light sometimes, but I can't make out anything through the paper. I've tried to imagine Margaret at the table, writing it, the way she used to tuck her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, the slight slant of her handwriting. Was she crying? Was she calm? Did she hesitate before sealing it? There are questions that only exist because I left them unopened. I used to think that by not opening the letter, I was preserving something. Maybe dignity, maybe distance. Now I understand that I preserved uncertainty, and uncertainty stretches longer than pain. I don't know if I will open it. At 82, the future feels shorter than the past. The drawer is still there. The envelope still rests beneath the handkerchiefs. Sometimes I sit on the edge of the bed and hold it,
feeling the faint ridge where the paper inside is folded. There's still time, but there's less of it than there was. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you. You don't have to tell me what you think I should do. Some things aren't decided by advice. For now, the letter is still sealed, and I'm still here.